Special edition of That's What G Said for a WrestleMania roundtable here. And we're going to try to stream this one onto the social media platforms. The last couple times we haven't been able to because when we do the Royal Rumble roundtable, we go too long. I think it needs to be like under 2 hours when we have Darin, Zoccali, Andrew Champagne, Chad Cooper here. We all love wrestling. We all have a strong opinion, and we're ready to talk about everything WrestleMania 39. So DZ, my friend, big week ahead. Give us some overall thoughts. How have you felt about the build to this year's WrestleMania?
I think it's been relatively solid. Some of the matches, leave me a bit flat. The Lesnar Omos match, I just don't understand at all. I have some concerns about the main event that we'll talk about when we get there. Obviously, all the stories related to the bloodline, the Usos and Zayn and Owens has been phenomenal. The Intercontinental title picture, I thought what they did at SmackDown came together well. I'm looking forward to that triple threat match. I would say more positive than negative. It certainly has some matches on the card that could make it a very good show, but there are a couple of issues that I think they need to traverse rather carefully and not book themselves into a corner.
Andrew Champagne, buddy, 2 nights of WrestleMania, and we're going to look through the card with all the matches that have been listed at Wikipedia. I don't think we're going to have any other surprises. It looks like we'll have the Andre the Giant Battle Royal on Friday that SmackDown, and they're going to do the Hall of Fame right after SmackDown. So we should have like 6 matches one night, maybe 7 matches the other night, which is really solid. Like the format's changed a little bit too with Triple H taking over. So how have you felt about the build up and just sort of what we see with the way these couple nights could play out?
No surprises. You mean Goldberg's not showing up for this one? Come on,
you're going to have to come on the AEW pod with me and Cooper if you want to talk
apparently
about Goldberg
yeah.
soon, right?
Yeah, my go-to joke designed to get Darin Zoccali's blood boiling is nearing its conclusion, I think. But on a serious note, I feel different about this build to WrestleMania. It's a little bit off from what we've seen in past years because you can tell Triple H is putting his imprint on the product. Much was made when news broke a couple of weeks ago that Triple H was downsizing the WrestleMania card in terms of the number of matches. That's a stark departure from the prior administration, which in some WrestleManias really bloated the card. In fact, in some instances, there were some that were incredibly overbooked to where no match got above 8 minutes other than the main event. So it's a little bit of a trade-off there. But one of the things I'm interested in, there are a lot of matches on this 2-day extravaganza where the booking seems obvious. And my bold prediction is, I don't know where it's coming, but in at least one occasion, we're going to get swerved based on what the obvious, in quotes, thing is versus what we actually get. Which match that is, I don't know. There are a couple of options, and we'll go through it. But it certainly seems like there are defined winners and losers days before the event on a couple of occasions. And there were some instances last year where it looked that way, and in at least one of them, we wound up getting swerved and thrown for a loop.
Coop Loop, what do you think about how it's all come together for WrestleMania and just the way that Triple H has been, calling the plays. He's been in charge now from SummerSlam through Mania. So this is going to be really the first time where, like Andrew was saying, you can feel his imprints on everything. He feels like he really is getting to make all the decisions now. Overall feel coming into WrestleMania. Are you pumped? Are you excited?
I'm excited. I think the build has been relatively strong, the top portion in certain matches. If this was a one-night event, I would be very concerned about some of these matches because the build just has been very lackluster, including a title match or two. You can definitely feel the changing of the guard here with professional wrestling. I'm not a fan of a dual night for WrestleMania. I'm old school. I like the one night event, even if it's a lot of matches and you have a lot of, dead spots in the crowd. They're tired. I just think it makes it more special, but I understand why they do it. Money, corporate sponsors, and if you can do it, you can do it. But a strong build from the top. I agree. There's some obvious booked matches here that kind of concern me a little bit. But that's what Mania Week is for. There's a lot of good things here. I'm very disappointed in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal here. I'm a massive Andre the Giant fan. I don't like the way this has been booked from day one.
Remember that first year, and they were
Yeah.
how big a deal that was? Yeah, they made it seem like a huge deal.
And it's not on Mania. And when you think about Mania, for me, I go back to WrestleMania 3 with Hogan Andre. That's me. But I just feel like it's been kind of, and then, you don't want all these matches. We get these report, and then, we start getting showcase matches thrown in here. But nonetheless, it's going to be a fun 2-night ordeal at SoFi Stadium this weekend.
So the names that they had listed for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which is going to be on Friday night, are led by Bobby Lashley, which is sort of a bummer because Lashley was supposed to have something and be a big part of WrestleMania. He was going to have something with Bray Wyatt, reports about Bray Wyatt getting hurt, also different rumors. But basically everybody that doesn't have a match is going to end up in that Battle Royal. Our guy LA Knight, I'd love to see him make some noise there. He'd be someone who could just sort of use that and then go on and talk about how he's the man who won that. I could see him show up at WrestleMania, cut a promo, get interrupted. Gargano, Dexter Lumis, Rick Boogs, Dolph Ziggler, Elias, Mustafa Ali, Xavier Woods, Madcap Moss, Gallows and Anderson, Baron Corbin, Bronson Reed, Karrion Kross, Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin, Massey, Mansois, Top Dollar, Ashante, the Adonis, Ridge Holland, Butch, Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo, Santos Escobar, Joaquin Wilde, Cruz del Toro. That's the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. That's on Friday. Not really on the 2-night card of WrestleMania, but something that has been in many years. And for the first time ever, I'm going to WrestleMania this year. Very excited about that. Night 1 of WrestleMania, I'll be there. It's here in Southern California at SoFi. So never had the chance. I think I've only been like 1 or 2 pay-per-views that I can remember too. Lots of Monday Night Raws from when they were around and SmackDowns and live events, but just not a whole ton of pay-per-views through the year. So this will be a blast for me. And DZ, we do know what is going to kick off night 1 and open the show. Austin Theory versus John Cena. John Cena showed back up a few weeks ago and just tore Austin Theory apart, came at him. Austin Theory didn't even really get much of a rebuttal. And initially, John Cena was like, I'm not going to wrestle you. You haven't earned it. No, you're beneath me. And then he sort of, he twisted it and said, well, the crowd wants it, so I'll get into it. And we haven't seen John again. I really did like what they had Austin Theory do on Monday Night Raw this week. He cut a promo inside an empty arena, which felt sort of like an old school territory thing to do. And he said, I don't care about the fans out there. John, I really don't even care about trying to be you, anything like that. This is going to be a big moment for me. You're not taking me seriously. I thought it was cool. It was a little unique. It was a little different. What do you think about the build to this match in Theory versus Cena?
Yeah, I've liked the build. Theory, I think, has done great work the last, 4 to 6 months in this heel role. The stuff that he did with Roman after Vince left, and he said, your daddy's not here anymore, and how things have kind of moved down the line from there. Normally, when Cena shows up in a spot like this, it's to put over young talent. That would seem like the obvious thing here. But having this match starting the Saturday night, I wonder if this is going to end with a potential Cena pop getting a win. Maybe he wins and he drops it back quick in the following week. It's an interesting. I would have thought that Rollins and Logan Paul would have been the first match. That seemed like the obvious to me. So, or one of the 2 women's championship matches.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they put this number 1 tells me that, it's been the new thing that they've been doing lately where they want to kick things off with a real bang. And Theory winning here, I don't think accomplishes that. So
I can see him getting the win back at some point, like we're saying, especially if Cena is around for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I kind of agree with you. I don't know if it's immediately just a Theory like clean win and move on here.
I agree. Yeah.
I don't know. Andrew, where are you leaning on this one?
Well, I think we're overlooking the obvious, which is this match is first on the card because John Cena wants to beat the traffic.
There you go. You're right.
Waka.
Well done. And we can for sure say that the way that they've situated things now with Friday night, with the Andre the Giant, and the fact that for the entire Triple H era now, they haven't had pre-show matches anymore. They just have a pre-show. So they're doing this so that way the first thing that I think anybody hears is John Cena's music.
Yeah, and I understand from that aspect of it. This smells a little bit to me. Because I think the United States Championship, the supposed stakes for the match, are beneath a guy like John Cena. Why would he care? This is a guy that's acting in 2 or 3 movies a year, making boatloads of money, lip syncing to lyrics on Experian commercials, very badly, I might add. If you watch that commercial that aired hundreds of times during March Madness, none of the audio lines up, and whoever lined that up ought to be ashamed of themselves. But why would John Cena care about this? Like, in a perfect world, when Cena came out and did why would I want a match here? Austin Theory would have kicked the crap out of him. Austin Theory would have said, notice me in big bold letters, and done something, maybe busted him open, maybe done something talking about how one of his movies was awful. I don't know. Something more than that. I understand the purpose eventually is going to be to put over Austin Theory, which I like, because Austin Theory has been dealt a pretty weird hand in his WWE tenure. The guy is a future star if he's booked correctly. I mean, how many guys have we said that about over the past 5 or 6 years, and it turns out they're not booked correctly and they wind up going elsewhere or getting shunted down the card? But I agree with Darin on this. If you're starting WrestleMania with a pop, doesn't that mean Cena wins? And if Cena wins, what does he have to gain and what does Austin Theory have to lose?
It is a little weird, like you're booked into the corner. And it's again, if you have Cena for a few weeks or a month where this was the start, you're going to have him have a match or two and then eventually get it back to Theory. I guess Theory can gain something back there, but you're right. If it's just Theory coming here and losing, not sure. Koopaloop, where do we stand with this one? Austin Theory, John Cena.
How many times have we seen John Cena as an underdog in WrestleMania matches? Not too often. If you look at the opening lines here, this tells you that Theory is probably going to win. I did find an interesting betting line here. There's 6 title matches, I do believe, Gino, at WrestleMania on both nights. Correct me if I'm wrong. And the over/under of title changes set by one book is 4.5. I don't think this is. I don't think this is a title match change here. I think Theory wins. I think, I don't know. I think we're looking too much in this. I would be surprised if John Cena wins the United States title, and I agree. I just don't know what good it would do for John Cena to win the title and Theory to lose the opening match at WrestleMania. I think they'll go different here. I think Cena's entrance may be pretty cool here to kick off WrestleMania. That's one thing I really love about this big show is the entrances, but I'm all Austin Theory here. I think this kid, not only a future star, I think he's a star now. He's one of the top heels on the roster.
Real quick, how many title matches in total are there? Is it 6?
Yes. Yeah. So you got
4.5 is a big number.
I know, for 6, right?
Yeah,
you got the number.
4 maybe. I think 4 is probably the right number. 4.5 seems like they're trying to juice the under a little.
Well, because does something happen like Darin, you were almost getting there. The fact that this is so early on night 1, could there be a possibility of John Cena throwing this title up for grabs the next night or Monday Night Raw? Or do we get the women, which we're going to talk about in a second? I could see after this 6-woman tag, I could see something like Ronda and Shayna winning that women's showcase match night 2, and then challenging Becky and Lita for the tag team titles right then. Something along those lines. And so we maybe have an extra title match that we don't even know is on the card. Then I could see it going over there. And maybe there's something like that that's out there. But I could see Cena winning this thing and then doing an open challenge on Monday night, having having just a cool interaction with someone. Yeah, I'm gonna lean Cena for this one. Andrew, yes, sir.
Gino, can I make a point?
Please do.
Can we factor in if all the odds are pointing towards Bobby Lashley winning this battle royal? Does he show up the next night and get involved in this with Theory?
Or is that does he afterwards call out Cena or something like that, right? And then we could get that on night 2. But is that a lot to ask of John Cena, who's not in shape?
It is.
To just be pulling hey, Cena, by the way, you're going to pull double duty and then Lashley the next night. But that could be a way to get it to Cena to then Lashley the next night. I don't know if that was something they would even want to do, but then again, what does that do for Theory? So, Andrew, let's start with you on this next one. Let's go. Now, what's weird about this, we were looking at Wikipedia, so this isn't for sure, but just based on what they've announced, they definitely announced Theory Cena was going to kick things off. And they for sure announced that Charlotte and Rhea would be on night 1. Charlotte's mentioned that. Now, I don't think they themselves have said that was going to main event. There have been rumors of it, but it seems so weird to me that they would have both women's title matches on the same night.
I agree.
That just doesn't seem to make sense unless they were purposely planning on doing something with the bloodline and having both the Usos match and the main event on night 2 for a specific reason. Or like I said, if maybe they end up having a double women's match, like after the women's showcase on night 2, they have Becky and Liv work double duty, but it still wouldn't make sense to me. And the other thing that doesn't make sense to me either is I don't think either of the matches are quite hot enough to main event. I think they want to do that because they like the way it looks. It's great. Having one women's match on one of the nights just looks really good. You have a bunch of talented women. It makes sense, but it really feels like if they can do the Usos,
I thought that had to be the main event.
Me too.
Everything. I thought
and who knows if they do or they adjust, but if they somehow can stop and just say, hey, look, this is as hot of a tag feud as we've had in so long. Like, it's sort of a consolation for Sami Zayn. But we don't know. Do they have a plan and they wanted to do everything with that on the same night? Do they want to maybe have all those titles lost?
I think that should be your main event on Saturday. And I think Bianca Belair kicks off Sunday as the first match. That's personally what I would do.
I would do too. I think you flip-flop Bianca and Asuka and you put that on Sunday. And then absolutely you have the Usos versus KO and Sammy closing out.
Guys, we have a really big problem here. All three of us agree that needs to not happen.
I know.
That's ever happened in the 3 years we've been doing this now. I think that might be a first. Tuesday, March 28th, 6
Jot it down.
p.m. here on the West Coast. Everybody agrees.
Jot it down. So, okay, Andrew, let's go to the Seth freaking Rollins Logan Paul match. And it's so refreshing to see Logan Paul play the role he should have been playing all along. Now, we cannot critique any of the in-ring work that this guy's done. He has been as impressive as any celebrity has been in the WWE. You could put him right up on any short list. He takes it seriously. He's trained hard. And so as a fan, I appreciate that. It just didn't feel right when he was trying to be a babyface and it sounded like it was something that he wanted. Now, when he comes out and just leans into the heel role, which is so natural for him, the roles are perfect here. This is something that makes more sense, I think, than Logan versus John Cena, because Seth Rollins is just in better shape right now. He's a little bit safer of a worker at this point, and Seth being around more, I was reading that they have an opportunity to sort of like work on this match a little bit more, Seth and Logan. I think this is going to be a blast. Seth Rollins is as over as he's ever been. That crowd is going to be awesome singing his song that night. And this should be a good spot for Seth to get a win, because while he's really over right now, he hasn't been stacking a lot of wins over the last year, and he could use a win or two in a match like this. This will be great for Logan to do some really impressive stuff, and that's what I think this should be for both of these guys.
So can we talk for just a moment? Gino, you hinted at this. When Logan Paul signed with WWE, allegedly, his contract included a clause that said he was required a babyface run. There was no one on the planet besides Logan Paul that wanted Logan Paul to be a babyface. The guy is a born heel. He's got more money than God. He's got a very punchable face and goes out of his way to be the most unlikable douchebag imaginable. But you got to give him credit because he may have had the best rookie year in the history of professional wrestling. And that's, I understand, a very large statement. But what did he do wrong? In 3 matches, he has done more than just about any rookie in the history of the industry. That's kind of amazing when you think about it. Now, one thing that I'm going to float for the group here is it's come out that Logan Paul's WWE contract is up after this WrestleMania. Now, obviously, they could renew stuff. It seems like it's a mutually beneficial relationship for everybody. It seems like a no-brainer that WWE and Logan Paul would come back to the table and say, okay, let's keep this going. Does that affect the booking of this match? I don't think so.
Me neither, but in just mentioning the way that he came in wanting to be a babyface, does something like winning a scripted pro wrestling match matter to him?
It's a very good question. I mean, it's not like he's been stacking up a lot of wins either.
No.
You know? So this I'm looking forward to. Again, for as much as we can bash Logan Paul, the human being, and the rest of the family. And by the way, please, for the love of God, I don't want to see Jake Paul at WrestleMania. I would prefer not to see Jake Paul or any of the other members of the Paul family at all whatsoever. Please no. Please no. Which, of course, means we're going to wind up seeing the Paul family at WrestleMania. That's just how things work. But this is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing what Seth and Logan can do. I think this is a sleeper candidate for best match of the night.
I do think, I agree. I think it could steal the night. I do think Seth Rollins needs a pay-per-view win, though.
Yeah.
He has gone through a stretch, you know, where he just
I think he won one match last year on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
In the last 12 months.
If they're going to fire him up, you know, and do something big with him at some point this year, he's got to have a WrestleMania win. And you know,
and he hasn't had a WrestleMania win in a while either, right? He hasn't had a win like in the last calendar year on pay-per-view, but he hasn't had a Mania win in a while.
Probably not since Brock in the Universal title.
That was the last one. He lost to Cesaro at Mania. He lost to Kevin Owens at Mania, and then he lost last year at Mania to Cody in the last 3 Manias prior. So he needs it because it's the time. He's over. He's as more over naturally than he's ever been right now. But like the crowd's always like he's always been a top guy, but there have been times where it's like, he's not really a baby face or he's not really connecting, but the crowd just loves him right now. Whether it's because they love singing the song, they are really into him, and it's great because he can finally work like a baby face. And Coop, I mean, you know my feelings on Seth Rollins. I've always been team Rollins here. And how great was it to see Logan Paul just cut the heel promos on Raw, man. The crowd just hates him, and you could see him being like, oh, I know. You could watch him like realize that this was so much easier for him than trying to cut a babyface promo.
Yeah, and I don't get the baby face in the contract, but, you know, to each his own. Match of the night for sure. Heck, this could be match of the weekend. These guys probably are going to, you know, get a lot of time to do a lot of spots. Very impressive. Now, who has the most hated brother? Is it Jake Paul or is it Jackson Mahomes? Who would you rather see less of?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
But it does add looking at the opening line here. Seth's a solid favorite at -500. I agree. Yeah, and you guys were talking, looking up some Seth Rollins stuff. Remember he cashed in, and I forgot about this. WrestleMania 31, he cashes in the briefcase.
Yep.
And pins Roman Reigns.
Yep.
I
After
think,
losing to Randy earlier in the night.
With the greatest RKO of all time.
Greatest
RKO. Don't get us started on that. We have to stay within 2 hours. And
well, So this is look. Logan Paul is pretty impressive, and I'm glad you guys had brought it up about Rookie of the Year. To only have a handful of matches and to do it on big shows is pretty impressive. You don't see that 10, 15 years ago in professional wrestling, like what Logan Paul's been able to do.
Yeah, look, I don't like him, but I have to give credit where it's due. The fact that he was able to step into a ring, and listen, I'm sure he worked his ass off and trained, but to be able to have the kind of matches that he's had with as few mistakes
botches
and
they're smooth, like they're fast paced, they're smooth. They don't look like when someone does their first few matches, like where you're thinking about what's coming next, right, and you're telegraphing what's happening. He's just in it, like he's smooth. It's so hard to do. It's very like,
I have to give him credit.
Me too. And it's not, I'm not saying he's like this, but when you hear people talk about Kurt Angle and just how quickly they pick it up, one of the things they mentioned was that like he was willing to just throw himself into it.
Yeah, but at least Kurt Angle
has a wrestling
I know he has a wrestling background.
Exactly. You're absolutely right. Like Logan Paul is not an athlete. Like he's an athletic guy, but he's not a trained professional athlete either, So really, really good stuff from Logan. And this should be an awesome match. Looking forward to this one. Coop, let's move along. Let's go to you here for Trish, Lita, and Becky versus Damage Control. Were they like teasing a Trish heel turn? I've been hearing rumors about that. That would be, I mean, if Trish is around, it just seems so weird to have like a veteran like that be a heel, because I don't know if people would want to boo her. Was that just a red herring? Was that something weird? I don't know. What do you think about this 6-woman tag match? And did you see what I saw, and have you heard what I've heard?
Yeah, my interest, unfortunately, my only interest in this match is Trish Stratus. I don't know what they did a good night on Monday. They did a good job on Monday Night Raw with some stuff to build this up a little bit more. Man, if she turns, I don't know. She's kind of like the golden girl, so to speak. She's just this great, baby face for the WWE Hall of Famer type. I don't know, man. If she turns on them, the opening line -300 for the good guys here. Becky
Trish
Lynch,
and Lita.
Trish and Lita. So I don't know what a turn here would do, especially if you are going to book that Ronda and Shayna are going to win these titles within, a very short period of time. You talk about how long is Cena going to stick around? How long is Lita going to stick around with these tag titles? So, I don't know. If she turns, does it lead to a Trish versus Lita match, coming up? I don't know.
Something like Becky and Lita versus Trish and Bailey. I don't know, Darin.
Sure. Yeah, me neither.
What are you thinking about this 6-woman tag and where we could be headed?
Yeah, I do think you're getting a Trish turn. I think you're getting a Trish turn. I think she, whether it's a jealousy thing that she's not a part of the tag team that won the belts, whatever angle they play, and I think you're going to get a Trish Becky Lynch run up through like SummerSlam. I think cool. that's what you're going to kind of get out of this. And I think in order to get there, Trish probably costs Lita and Becky their titles at some point, to Damage Control as well. I think that's kind of where we're heading here. I don't think it's just going to be kind of like this, good vibe moment with Trish and Lita and Becky in the ring victorious together. I think there has to be more to it than that.
Andrew, I don't know if Damage Control has really clicked all that much. It's not that I hate it. It's not been awful. I don't know if it's been fantastic. I like all the pieces individually. They've had some good moments and some good matches. I think I feel like it maybe hinders what we could see from Io Sky a little bit because, wow, she's definitely capable of some fantastic things that we saw in NXT. But overall, where do you think this one's headed?
I agree with you completely on Damage Control, and that's where I was going. I love Bayley. I love Io Sky, and I was thrilled they brought Dakota Kai back. She never deserved to get cut when she got cut, and she didn't just come back. They brought her back at SummerSlam in that spot after Becky and Bianca tore the house down to start the show. That was really cool. And that was the onset of the Triple H era, really. I think that was the first really big show that he wound up booking from start to finish. If you want to watch a really good match and a really good angle, watch that one, folks. Now, far as this is concerned, do I want to see Trish Stratus turn? Not really. But go back to WrestleMania 20. Nobody wanted to see Trish Stratus turn then either. She made it work by the sheer force of how good she was as a character and by the fact that evil Trish Stratus is on the Mount Rushmore of the most awe-inspiringly beautiful women in the history of professional wrestling. But do I want to see Trish turn at this stage? No. Do I want to see Lita turn at this stage? No. Do I want to see Becky turn at this stage? No. I'm not sure what we're going to see other than, the match is going to be really good.
Yeah, I'm very curious about the Trish involvement because it feels like the positive. If she does turn, even though I don't know if I would do that, that means that she's going to be around for a while, as Darin was sort of getting at. Then that would lead to a program with her and Becky for a while. And what would be positive about that is it just gives you more involvement of these really talented women who sometimes feel like if they're not wrestling for a title, they don't have another program. So that would be great to have another program with Becky where she could be out of the title picture and not necessarily worrying about it all that much. And you could have still stuff with the other really, really talented females involved in the title picture. So that is the third match that they have listed for night one. We'll see if all of these matches are for sure going to be on the nights that they are placed right now. DZ, your favorite match, the one you're looking forward to most, Brock Lesnar versus Omos with MVP. And it is crazy to think that Brock Lesnar's facing Roman Reigns a year ago, for the title in big matches. And Brock Lesnar has always been the guy, someone who broke the Undertaker's streak, who has been one of the biggest stars and a huge mountain to climb. And the thing that is weird about this match to me, right? What Omos and his individual talent completely aside, even if I didn't like Omos at all, the fact that this match just came out of left field when Omos hadn't even been on TV recently. Yeah. You weren't even having Omos go through squashes at the time where we just said it's going to be Brock Lesnar versus Omos. It was so random. It was so out of nowhere. Omos was like an ice cold character at the time. That's what bothers me the most. On top of it, how great can this match be? They're trying to play it around the story. Can Brock get him up? Can Brock suplex him? Can Brock hit the F5? I know you're looking forward to this one.
Yeah, no. And on top of it, it's really unfortunate that things fell through with Lashley and Wyatt, because we could have had Brock and Lashley at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Didn't need a title attached to it. Could have gotten the match that we wanted, a good 15-minute barn burner of a match.
Because they never did that. It was they never had the great finish. They kept cutting it short, to play it for another one, and then we didn't get the final one.
Yeah, when I saw the rumors of this, like when Omos said it in that backstage interview on Raw and that little promo, and I was like, that's not going to happen.
Me too.
There's no way we're getting Lesnar versus this guy at WrestleMania. I was shocked because this is like Vince McMahon written all over it. You know, it makes no sense if Triple H is the guy who's doing the creative and in charge of these bookings that they've come up with this match.
Rumors about Bray Wyatt and Brock earlier, and Brock didn't want to do that.
Yep.
There
But
were
how
rumors.
much better does this card look if you take out Omos's name and you put in Bobby Lashley?
I know.
And even if you make it doesn't need a stipulation, but if you made it like, you know, some kind of a, you know, street fight, you know, no holds barred where they just beat the crap out of each other for 20 minutes or whatever.
So much better.
So much better than this. Yeah.
And disappointing. Andrew, could this be surprising at all? Do you have any positive thoughts on this one? Talk to us about Brock versus Omos.
Why should I care?
Yeah.
I'm asking an honest question. That's ultimately, and look, by my profession, I am a content producer, strategist, editor, whatever. That's the question you ask of every single thing you produce and you put out there for people to consume. It would be one thing if there was any storyline at all whatsoever attached to this. This just seems like, well, we need to put Lesnar on the card, and the guy that we wanted to work with him, he didn't want to work with, and now we have no idea where he is or where his head's at. Let's just find the biggest guy possible and see if he can throw him around. Yeah, that'll work. Omniscient, all-knowing narrator. It does not work. I don't care. And the one thing that could possibly redeem this would be if Lesnar squashes Omos in 27 seconds, grabs a microphone and says, "Is this all you have? Somebody in the back that wants a fight, come out." And you redeem it somehow. I don't know who comes out to redeem it. I don't know who you have. I don't know who would be available, but you have someone.
Well, Lashley's available.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I'm thinking if you have a legend that wants to do something, because
are you going to Goldberg here?
No.
He was trying. He was trying to get there.
You were trying to get there.
No, I wasn't at all whatsoever. Though you've got the right general hair complexion.
Oh,
Brock
Austin?
Lesnar's gonna be done after this Mania, or so we hear. You've never had Lesnar Austin. Have the glass break. Austin comes out, stuns him, drinks beer, and you salvage the whole thing. That's what I'd do.
That's not a bad point.
Yeah, we could all like to see Stone Cold out there stunning. Coop, you've never really been too much of an Omos guy either, right? How are you feeling on this one?
No, it's no secret that you know I like giants in professional wrestling. He's below El Gigante for me back in the old WCW days.
Big ouch.
But you know, playing devil's advocate, I wouldn't mind this. You know, a couple of cool moves from Omos and Lesnar. You know, yeah, I'm with AC here. I could see Lesnar squashing this guy. I don't think you need that. Hurts Omos. I don't think his future is going to be a title holder anyway. I other than the Brock Lesnar name and mystique and what he brings to any match is the only reason why I'm interested in this and all. What if they do anything post match? It would salvage it. I'm not expecting it. I just, you know, hopefully it's a glorified squash, and it wouldn't. It definitely probably. Would you think it follows one of these hot matches?
Yeah,
you know, because it's
right
before a good cool down spot. Yeah, so
yeah, right before the main event, maybe right after the opener or something like that. Because I just don't know how many people are all that excited for this, but hopefully we can all be pleasantly surprised, and they can give us like a nice 5-minute sprint where, you know, they work hard and we see Omos, you know, show us a little bit more than we're expecting right now, but not a lot of high expectations going into that one. Now they have both of the women's championship matches listed for night one. Again, I hope they change that and they don't do it that way. Let's talk about Bianca versus Asuka first. Andrew, I've probably been, I think, the most disappointed with this match of maybe any on the card, because they haven't done really anything. And the best thing they did was on Monday night. When they did some videos that were really well done. Other than that, we we haven't had any actual build. They didn't make a decision on if they wanted to have Asuka be a real heel or not. There wasn't anything to this as far as a story. They just were really lazy with the way they've set it up. And I think this has been a thing with some of Bianca's feuds for a while. They kind of yada through Bianca and Alexa stuff. And I'm disappointed in the build. All that being said, once the bell rings, this is going to be a great match. These two are going to be fantastic there. But I would love sometime soon. I don't know if it could come, but I want to see a Bianca Belair and Montez Ford power couple as a heel. I think they would be fantastic together. Cocky, talking trash to everyone, like Bianca with the title and Montez with like the US title or like a mid-card title, and just being real flashy, talking about how he should have done this a long time ago and he should have done, it's all about him and Bianca. I would just love that at some point, Andrew, because to me, Bianca's got a little bit stale recently. The problem is I don't know if Asuka's on fire right now to be the person to take this title from her. I was sort of expecting Rhea Ripley to go after Bianca when she won the Royal Rumble. I was a little surprised when Rhea said that she was going to go after Charlotte. Now, I understand. It makes sense there. But Bianca, Asuka, what do you think about this one, AC?
First of all, can we stop for a moment and remember WrestleMania last year where Bianca Belair had that awesome entrance with the Texas Southern Marching Band? How freaking cool was that? I watched that the other night again on Peacock. That was
her last two Manias. She's been like stole the show, main event level, just really good stuff.
Yeah. I agree with you that she's getting a little bit stale and needs something. I don't know if that's the something, but I agree with you in that compared to the build that Charlotte Rhea has gotten, this seems almost like an afterthought, and it shouldn't, because if we're doing over-unders for star ratings, the over-under for this one's really, really, really high.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Given some of Asuka's character since she's come back, do we see the Great Muta here or an homage to him since he's going into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah. I mean, I could see something.
Please. They throw one dragon screw leg whip. That's all I need. That's all I need.
Oh, Asuka for sure will do some sort of a little tribute there.
I am so happy that Muta's going in, by the way. That's a big thing for me this year. That's going to be so much fun.
And they'll have that ceremony on Friday night after SmackDown on Peacock. So, Coop, Bianca, Asuka. We've been a little disappointed with the build to this. We weren't really sure who was going to be the contender, because when they made the list for Elimination Chamber after Rhea decided she was going to face Charlotte, it didn't feel like there was like another natural, really hot contender to go after Bianca.
I thought a couple of months ago we were getting the definite Asuka heel turn. What was that character? Kana, something like that. It was one of those, and we didn't. I don't know if this is a product of having two different champions, and this one's just getting the shorter end of the stick because of Charlotte is back on SmackDown and as the SmackDown Women's Champion. The line opens basically as a pick'em. And I think that's a pretty good indication that they may not know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm with you guys. I think Bianca needs something different here, whether that's losing the title or winning a fantastic match. And yeah, her entrance last year with Texas Southern was just absolutely phenomenal in Houston. That was just, that was one of the top 5-6 Mania entrances for me. That was spectacular. The match is going to be fantastic. That's what sucks about all this. But a great storyline would probably give you more of this could headline a night one type deal.
Absolutely.
And it's not. I just feel for both of these because we haven't been able to grasp on anything storyline with either of these ladies.
Yeah, and Darin, Andrew was kind of hitting on it. If we're going to just talk about pure like match quality and star ratings, the two women's title matches probably have the highest floor of any matches on the card, is just like being good or being the great, like really, really great. Both of these matches that we're going to talk about back to back have 4 of the best workers, men or female, in WWE and like in the entire industry, with Bianca, Asuka, Charlotte, and Rhea. So in ring will be great. This one to me though, I've just felt lacking in the build. I did like what they did on Monday though. I liked when they just sort of had it sort of like a real sports feel to dominant athletes. Here's what they've done. Here's what they could do. It just felt like they tried something when they hadn't really tried much at all before that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm looking forward to it from the standpoint of it being a good wrestling match. I have not really been invested in the story for all the reasons that you said. And to be honest, the run that Asuka's had is one of the more perplexing, 4 to 5 year runs that I can remember in WWE, because she comes out of NXT with this undefeated streak. She wins the Royal Rumble. She goes in against Charlotte at WrestleMania. And after that, they cool off on her and she kind of disappears.
Yeah.
And then she comes back and she's involved in like some tag team stuff. And then she goes away and she disappears. Then she comes back and she gets handed a championship belt when Becky's leaving to, go have a kid. And she has that run. And then she kind of disappears again. Like, the Asuka run has been very strange because I have not been able to get fully invested in her character, because just when I start to, they cool off on her and she just kind of goes away again. And I don't know if that's going to happen again here. I don't really know what's going to happen in this match. I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other. But for all those reasons, like I said, wrestling match, looking forward to it. Any type of story that has me really invested, it's just not there.
No.
If I may jump in,
please.
The big difference now with Asuka is Triple H. I would not be at all surprised if Vince just never saw anything with Asuka, and it's clear Triple H knows how to book her. I mean, you look at the NXT stuff that she did, and you mentioned the undefeated streak. She never dropped the belt because there was nobody on the NXT women's roster at the time that could be seen as a credible threat. Think about that for just a minute and realize how strongly Triple H has booked her. The problem now that you're getting into is Asuka's no kid anymore.
No.
And you've got to wonder, now to be fair, the way that she works, I don't think we have to worry about her losing a step in the ring, but it just makes you really sad at how they've wasted her the last 5 years she's been on the main roster.
And at some point, whether it be a manager or they let her just cut promos and they have subtitles or something, I don't care how, she needs to be able to communicate at some point, some way. Like, they have to figure that out a little bit, because it's hard over and over to not have her be able to just talk a little bit about what she's thinking, what she's feeling, her opponent, any of that stuff. Like, we need to hear that at some point from someone who's a major, major player. It doesn't have to be fantastic. It doesn't have to be 20 minutes to open up Raw all the time. It just has to be small somethings. There's so few people that you never heard talk. Think about The Undertaker. He had Paul Bearer talk for him. The people that didn't talk had somebody talk for them. And that's been an issue recently, I think, with Asuka. So
wait a minute, Gino. You didn't like during the early stages of the no one in, remember she was kind of the unsung hero.
Well, when she was yelling at Michael Cole, that was even funny. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was at least funny, because she was kind of playing a character, and they were playing into the fact that they couldn't understand what she was saying, like the rest of the people. And then, so there was something there, but right now it's too much of, I don't like throwing them under the bus, but it just feels like a way of an AEW way of, like, we have this good wrestler who's just going to come out and give us some good matches. I want a little bit more than that. I want, give me some reason to care more about Asuka like we did before. Let's finish up what they have listed for night 1, which is Charlotte versus Rhea. And Coop, this one's been a little uneven with the build, but I think there have been some really high moments. A couple times that we've seen these two on SmackDown have been good. I thought the night that Dominic Mysterio showed up and was talking with Charlotte, it really it really sort of pulled me into the feud a little bit more. I liked it a lot that night. And the match will be great. The only thing that seems weird is just the dynamic, because you have Charlotte, who has come back, and she's been a babyface since she's come back. What usually happens when there's a big star that's gone and makes their return, they're always a babyface right off the bat because people cheer for them because they've been away for a while and they miss them. But Charlotte's a heel. She's a natural heel. She's going to be a heel. In this match, she's absolutely going to get booed. People are going to cheer Rhea. But Rhea is associated with a dastardly heel, Dominic Mysterio, who gets a ton of heat. And I don't know if you want to turn Rhea like super babyface and take Rhea away from the Judgment Day stuff. That's where I'm just a little kind of weirded out by this, because I think Rhea should just win this match clean, take the title from Charlotte, and be the anchor of the women's division now for a while. She's the most over female right now, but she's going to be getting cheered in this match, right, Coop?
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to agree with you here. What with WrestleMania 36, Rhea comes from NXT, one of the hottest, runs in a while that we've seen. She goes into WrestleMania 36 and she loses to Charlotte Flair, and then she, it's kind of like a tailspin.
Flounders for a while.
Yeah, it was brutal. And I remember her saying she was at a crossroads. She didn't know if she was going to continue wrestling or what she wanted to do. But yeah, she's kind of been involved with two different storylines here. You talk about big favorites in WrestleMania this weekend. She opened at minus 1,000 as a favorite over Charlotte Flair. I just hope the match delivers. That's the one thing it kind of makes up for 36. I didn't think it was the best showings of
I love that match.
You
I
did?
love the 36
Really?
match
Man.
in the note. Yeah, in the empty arena.
clunky.
I love
Yeah.
I'm with Gino.
Yeah.
Man, I think, look, I just think that Rhea needs this. I'm not the biggest Charlotte Flair fan in the world. Ric Flair, her father, is my all-time favorite. But yeah, I think Rhea here gets it, let her run. And I think she needs to separate from Charlotte a little bit. I don't think there needs to be a Charlotte run after a chasing the title if Rhea wins this, Gino.
No. DZ, what do we do here with just sort of the dynamics of all of this, right? Because we're all in agreement, right? Rhea's getting cheered here.
Yeah, this is when I was alluding to one of the spots where I was saying they need to be careful that they don't book themselves into a corner, because you have her aligned with a dastardly faction. Dominic is getting like, Roman go away heat.
Oh my, it's so great. Dude,
Like and I'm right. I can't stand them. I can't stand them. Like, it's not even I can't stand them from like a standpoint of, I want to dislike him as a heel. I think he sucks.
Oh, that's great. Okay, good.
I think he sucks. I think he's terrible. I think he sucks on the mic. I think it's awkward. He's slow in the ring. He tries to do raise moves and he does it at like a glacial pace. I think he's terrible. So you're lining her where she's going to get cheered if she wins here, which means she's going to have a moment after this match where she's probably like clutching the belt in tears with the crowd cheering. How do you go from that to her going back to being Dominic's mommy and doing the whole, Judgment Day thing? I don't get it. I don't know what you're going to do.
That's what's strange about this. And Andrew, do they want to do something where they have the Rhea and Dominic matches on the same night and have both of them win? But then that's so weird. Could you imagine you have one of them winning as a babyface, the other's a heel? I don't know. That's what's confused me and made me overthink this, because of those two dynamics. And then I would love there to be something with Rhea and mommy, and then Dominic and Dominic's actual mom out there. You know what I mean? Like, that would be just hilarious as I'm trying to play it out in my head. Talk to us about Charlotte Flair and Rhea.
I'm surprised you're letting me talk about Charlotte.
I know.
1 year ago, we were doing this show. Charlotte Flair was set to defend the title against the returning Ronda Rousey, who had come back, won the Royal Rumble. She was not minus 1,000 like Rhea Ripley apparently is at what I'm going to remind all of you is an offshore betting site please be careful if you decide to go this route. And again, the whole betting on wrestling thing, I play it for laughs. Sometimes it legitimately blows my mind that there were states considering this. Anyway, she was not minus 1,000, but it was probably minus 500 or 600. And I was the only person on this show
Never
to
gonna hear the
point
end of
out, wait a minute, Ronda Rousey wasn't on SmackDown, the go-home show, preparing for this match. I smell a rat.
I will give you all the credit in the world for that. You hit it on the head. My only thing to say following that is, gosh, they made the right call. Ronda has not been over, right? Like she just wasn't like over. I guess they could sort of sense it probably already then that she wasn't as into this in her second run or whatever it was. But is it going to happen again, Andrew? Are you calling your shot one more time here?
I think this is one of those obvious ones where no matter how much you want to swerve the crowd, no matter how much you want to avoid the awkwardness of Rhea and Dominic, I think it's obvious you give Rhea the belt here. Now with Ronda, we'll talk a little bit more when we get to the four-way WrestleMania showcase tag team, get everybody on the card thing. Mm-hmm. But I think this is a different animal. I think Rhea is the face of the division moving forward. And if it's me, and if Ray is not retiring after WrestleMania, I don't think he is. I think what you do is Rhea wins here. Dominic loses to his dad and gives everyone the payoff they want. And then Dominic loses his girl the Raw after WrestleMania.
Okay.
On a breakup thing.
Okay.
And you limit the potential fallout in that way.
Okay.
Now, that could also potentially have ramifications as we talk about Edge and Finn Balor with Judgment Day and everything else that's going on there. But that to me seems like the most logical way to go about things because they have a great problem to have. Because for as much as we talk about Dominic and whatever heat he has, I give the guy a lot of credit for his character work.
Me too.
And people invested in this match. Now,
I'm not invested at all. I couldn't care less.
Oh, I am into this 1,000%. I love it. I want to see him get popped. When he comes out, I laugh my ass off. And I don't think he's that good to where he can be like fully acting on it. But I think there is something to the fact that he's just not as smooth as his dad, and they kind of just lean into it, you know.
Now, Darin, the one thing I will say before we move on is you've got to be really careful about what you say about Dominic Mysterio. He's been to prison, and that's
I was gonna say he knows people. DZ,
prison Mike.
Listen. I'm from Brooklyn. He sucks.
You're from Brooklyn, but you live in Staten Island. Come on,
same difference.
Coop. I will say this was a feud that we had been hearing about for a while. They kept telling us over and over they were going to do this. And then finally we get the Mysterio versus Mysterio feud here. So as we sort of move off of Flair and Rhea and we move on to some of the matches that are the next night, let's go to that one because we've sort of been in the conversation with it anyway. Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio. They don't have it listed for a specific night. Darin loves this, and Omos versus Lesnar are going to be the two that Darin and his family watch and rewatch. That's when you mix up your drinks, check the barbecue, everything that needs to be done at that time for DZ and family. Rey and Dom. I am way more invested now than if they would have done this, I think, at any other point, because a year ago, and nobody cared about Dominic. Nobody cared they didn't even have go away heat from this guy. He could be following Rey to the ring, standing in the corner, and you didn't know. You didn't hear him. He didn't have a presence. Now there's this just cringe about him all over the place. And I'm a lot more invested in this match than I would have been at any other point. Koopa Loop, this has to be a moment for Dominic to get the big win here, right? If they've been doing all of this, it has to be to get the young guy over.
I would think so. The offshore book odds are basically a pick 'em here too. Where does he go from here? I'm not satisfied with what happens on Saturday and Sunday. I'm always thinking, all right, well, what happens next? Look, when you talk about Judgment Day, what Damian Priest is not even on the card. I think that faction's probably in trouble. I want Dominic to go over. Look, that promo on Monday night was one of the best promos in a long time. It was ugly, but that was one of the best ones that he has. I'm really invested in this match, and I think he's going to get a ton of heat on Sunday.
So Andrew, Dominic, and Ray, how do you think it's been built up? Are you more on the me and Coop side, or are you more leaning with DZ? Or are you somewhere in the middle?
I'm somewhere in the middle, leaning to the Gino and Coop side. This is one of those things it's wildly over the top, but Rey Mysterio was my very first favorite wrestler when I got into it in 1996, watching him on Monday Nitro. So seeing him with his kid, that's pretty dang cool. What I would personally do here, though, look, credit to Dominic Mysterio for having the character that has made him successful in that role beyond anywhere he should have been. Okay? Guy has done a really good job. You put Ray over here, you send Dominic down to NXT because that guy's got to learn. He got put in a really tough position based on what his last name is, and it's been up and down. He didn't really get the chance to learn the way he probably should have, and as a result, I think after this Judgment Day is done, you bring Dominic into NXT, you have him learn and get the basics down that he didn't really have a chance to master given the way he came into the business. That's personally what I'd do.
He could be a good character in NXT too if he went down there after this and
Well, there's going to be, you'd have to imagine people coming out of NXT at some point soon. We haven't had the type of mass exodus that we've come to expect in the past.
It's coming soon. Like that, this class is good. Like at the top with Carmelo and Braun, one of them's coming up, probably Grayson Waller.
He's going to be really good. And you've got a couple of the women that are going to be pretty good too.
The Creed brothers probably aren't far off. They could be, they're like a ready-made tag team right now. You have some of the women
left. And I'm not saying you push Dominic to the front of the brand, but you give him that kind of experience that he needs if he's ever going to really be somebody down the line. That's what
wait a minute. From Mania against his dad, a legend, to Tuesday night NXT. Man,
because he sucks.
The storyline, what do you do with him? That's
true. That's true.
In ring, he needs the help. And DZ, go ahead. The floor is now yours.
He still sucks. No. Listen, I've tried to get into it. Like you said, it's so ridiculously over the top. It's the intertwinings of Rhea, who's involved in this story while chasing a title in another story, is weird. The whole Judgment Day dynamic is weird. Damian Priest is nowhere to be found. Right? The whole thing has just got me completely flat. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. I thought they should have blown the whole thing up after Edge. I'm hoping that Andrew is right, that Ray somehow goes over. I'm sure the family is going to get involved somehow.
Yeah.
You know, you would, to me, in old school WWE, this has the heel gets his family comeuppance written all over it.
Yeah, the mom comes out and slaps him,
does the mom come out and do something, or the sister comes out and does something and costs Ray the match? I mean, I guess that's the counter that could potentially happen. But yeah, look, like I said, I just don't think he's very good. I think his promo work is weak. It's awkward. It's choppy. I feel uncomfortable watching him. I get nothing out of him. By the way, I don't know if you noticed, and I don't want to listen. I love Ray. Ray is not in the best shape he's ever been.
No,
I'm glad you brought that up. Monday night, you could tell it. Yeah.
You could, he has put on some
devil's advocate for just a minute here.
Yeah.
He's almost 50 at this point.
No, Andrew, I get it. But when he came back a couple of years ago, he was jacked and ripped out of his mind.
Yeah.
And he has lost a lot of tone, and he's got a gut that he never.
You almost again, I don't know, but like you wonder if it's something like if it's like a character thing for this, right? Want to be a little bit older, and maybe this is like him on his way out. I'm a little bit past my prime, but I don't know if you want to do that the way you're like in shape, right? For like working a match and being like working. He's
You
working
would
a
think,
lot.
yeah, that would be the opposite of what everybody else does going into
Does, right?
WrestleMania.
Now, there's one other thing to mention with this match and this feud. The next pay-per-view following this is in Puerto Rico.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Do they keep this going with these two guys? Because that would be a huge match in Puerto Rico, right? With Rey Mysterio and Dominic and some sort of a stipulation, like a match, something. So I could absolutely see that happening because, we have Rey Mysterio, one of the biggest like Hispanic Latin stars that they could have. I think that would be massive. So Rey Mysterio, Dominic, right now, not sure which night that one's going to go on. Let's talk about the showcase matches. We have the tag match. Andrew, I mean, this is one that you said they're doing this with the women and the men. This is a get everybody on the card match. But again, on paper, Braun and Ricochet, the Street Profits, Gable and Otis, and the Viking Raiders, all very good working teams that could do different things and be very impressive. Like if these guys go out and have 10 to 12 minutes where they just say, hey, go hit all your spots, at the very least, this is going to be a fun 10 or 12 minutes. It's not going to be something that I feel like is going to be a downer while we're watching this.
No, and tag matches like this, I mean, that was the highlight of night 2 of Mania last year.
You're right. It was the show stealer with the Brawling Brutes.
Yeah, it was really good. You wind up getting that sort of thing. Now, as far as this year goes, I don't necessarily have that much of an opinion on this one. I wouldn't be surprised with anything they wind up doing. What, by the way, is your guys' opinion of the work Otis has been doing with the Maximum Male Models and Maxine Dupree?
I mean, it's fun. It's funny. It's goofy. It's goofy as hell. But
I mean, anything he does is going to be goofy.
I give him a lot of credit. He is phenomenal in the role that he's wound up in. I got to tell you, the storyline with him and Mandy Rose never getting an ending is always going to bother me.
Me too.
He deserved way
Dude, he was the Money in the Bank holder.
Yes.
He was like next up to be the world champ. He was right there.
Honestly, the more I look at this match, the more I see 8 guys that are in really weird spots. You look at Strowman, who was main eventing WrestleMania a couple of years ago, got released, gets brought back, and I would say has been underwhelming since they brought him back.
And what's funny is you're absolutely right. He's in the best shape physically he's ever been.
Yes.
And he has probably had a couple of the best matches he's ever had in the last couple months on SmackDown, but they've just sort of been a little under the radar. He had a great one with Gunther, and he had a really good one with Ricochet prior to that, and they've had some fun tag matches as well. So it's like his work has been good. They just haven't really elevated him to much more than just guy on the card.
Yeah. Now, Ricochet, obviously, guy's been in limbo in various stages, and it's good to see them doing something with him. You get the Street Profits, and it seems like we've been saying Montez Ford is going to be a star for 4 years now.
I know.
At some point, to pardon my language here, but they've got to shit or get off the pot with him.
They do.
And that's no disrespect to Dawkins, who has come a long way. And if you look at Dawkins from 4 or 5 years ago, that guy has lost a lot of weight and has gotten into outstanding shape and turned into a really good worker. You get Chad Gable and Otis. Gable should have been Kurt Angle's son from the jump, but hey, we needed to swerve everybody. So here we go with Jason Jordan. Imagine how different Chad Gable's career is if he's Kurt Angle's son. And from then on, you get the Viking Raiders. Or should we call them the Viking Experience? Can we rip the Band-Aid off that one yet, or does it still need a little more time to heal? It's a weird match with a bunch of guys that are at weird stages and have been through a lot of shit. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they wind up deciding to do here. And I think someone might be muted because I'm not hearing anybody.
Oh, yep, DZ. I think thank you, Andrew, for the host assist there.
No problem. I'm just doing what I can. I mean, I
There you
know
go.
that I said a lot there, but I don't think I left anybody speechless.
No.
He's gonna want that retweeted, by the way.
I was gonna say, absolutely. So we're looking at Strowman, Ricochet. They're fun, but they're not like a long-term tag team. Angelo and Montez, man, they teased it with Montez in that Elimination Chamber match. We got a glimpse of it, and they've even had little interactions with Montez and Angelo with Austin Theory recently. I could see him being someone not far off for a U.S. title run. And then with Alpha Academy, Gable and Otis, we know everything that's going on with them. I could absolutely see Chad Gable have a nice sort of singles babyface run and do some good work that way. Viking Raiders maybe feel like the most for sure tag team for the long haul. And I'm kind of just playing it out in my head. I think KO and Sammy are going to win. So I think that a heel team winning this would make the most sense to be like the next challenger for a KO and Sammy after the Uso stuff. I'm going to say the Viking Raiders win this thing, and I'm going to say it's a good match.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I hope these two showcases are not on the same night.
No, they got to split them up too, right?
I really hope that they're split. I mean, look, you got a lot of talent in here. Ricochet is always fun to watch in the ring. Obviously, Montez Ford, like you said, we've been hearing rumors that they're going to fire him up as a singles competitor, and he had that great effort in the Elimination Chamber where it looked like it was really time to propel him. And I'm a little bit disappointed that he finds himself in this match at WrestleMania. But you got a lot of good workers in here, a lot of guys in interesting different points of their WWE runs, guys that I wouldn't necessarily have thought would have been here at this point. But it's an interesting match. I think it's going to be a good match. You're probably going to get one of those great sequences where they hit, finisher after finisher and guys come flying out of nowhere and, bang, 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 bang. Strowman's going to do that ridiculous run around the ring.
Oh yeah, he could take out all the other 6 guys, right?
I mean, he is so slow that you could literally sit in a chair and scarf down like an Ed Norton hero from the Honeymooners by the time he gets around the ring and gets to you. It's so bad. I can't believe that him doing that stupid twirl of the finger and running around the ring is still a thing. I really can't believe
you didn't Monday night that pop that he got for doing it on Monday night.
He gets a pop.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Cooper,
and half the time he completely misses the guy.
Oh, he does swing and miss. He does swing and miss on that one. Koopa Loop, basically some of the next tier tag teams right here on the men's side. What do you think?
Yeah, not much more I can add. Don't see Gable and Otis winning this. I am happy for Gable. Hopefully he gets a couple of shining moments and he doesn't take the pinfall here. If we're going to talk odds and offshore, 3 of the tag teams are pretty much pick 'em here with the obvious Braun, Ricochet, Viking Raiders, and Street Profits all being around plus 100. Gable and Otis at plus 1,400. It'll be a fun match. Again, another cool off spot. I'm with you. I wouldn't mind seeing the Viking Raiders win. I think I'm starting to like the gimmick again. And I think they're really good in the ring. Just hopefully no more spots with the Street Profits playing basketball or anything like that.
The Viking Raiders bowling. I saw Andrew out there
McManus.
bowling with the Viking Raiders. I'm pretty sure, right, Andrew? You're out
I
there
would
bowling.
not be alone with the Viking Raiders anywhere because I figured they would hurt me.
And what I want to see, because I know they announced that it's going to be coming up soon, I'd love to see a King Gable run. Chad Gable, King of the Ring. Give me a few of those. Give me like 2 or 3 matches on that Saudi Arabia card with Gable.
Swoosh from the throne would be great.
Yep, I would love it. Or even just losing in the final, but giving him multiple matches along the way would be a lot of fun. I think I could see him getting into that too. Let's go to the women's showcase match now. Koopaloop, Liv Morgan, Raquel, Natty and Shotzi, Ronda Rousey and Shayna, and Chelsea and Sonya Deville. Shout out to our girl Chelsea, who you and I have always loved.
Let me just stop you right here, and I'll make it short and sweet. It's Chelsea's. Look, it's Chelsea Green time here, boys.
Gotta be
weekend.
Chelsea Green.
Okay?
The only thing that's a bummer about this is if this was Chelsea and Carmella, I would have actually thought there was a chance for them to do a slip on a banana peel win, because that's sort of their characters, and like somehow get a win. The fact that Chelsea's already had to go through a couple different iterations with the tag team, because it seems like there's Carmella's banged up or something like that. I don't think they will win, but I got to give her a ton of credit. Her character has been good. It's been fun. There's a lot of characters. There's a lot of wrestlers that when they don't have anything going on, or they're not necessarily in a title picture or feud, they're just not there. This is a character that she can be on every week when she's not wrestling matches. She can be in segments. She's getting talked about, and you could see her absolutely being a heel character in this division for a long time, because once the bell rings, she can actually get in there and hold her weight, right? She's not necessarily Charlotte Flair in the ring, but she's not bad. She's not someone who's going to like look bad in the ring or not be able to pull her weight there. So, man, it's a shout out to Chelsea, because she's done a really good job since coming in. But is this one as simple as just Ronda and Shayna? I mean, I can't see Natty and Shotzi winning. I don't think it's going to be Chelsea and Sonya, because they're so new and they just threw them together. And I guess I could outside see Liv and Raquel, because I know that individually they're high on both of these women. And Liv's had a really good year. She's super over. They like Raquel. It just feels like this is for Ronda and Shayna, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think if Carmella was around with Chelsea, I could see them accidentally tapping someone out. If Ronda or Shayna has someone in another hold and they just sneak in with a win, if that happens, I would be shocked now. But I think Ronda and Shayna here is your likely winners. But, Liv is she's Liv. She overcomes a lot. She's popular, still sells a ton of merch, great on social media. I just hope this match gets a little time. I have a feeling it's not. I hope it does. Again, I hope they're split up.
I mean, if it's only these matches that they have carded, they should all be able to get time, right? Because we know that the Omos Brock match on one of the nights isn't going to be that long. So I think everything else should be able to get at least 10 minutes, plus in differing levels. DZ, what about the women's showcase here?
Yeah, I'll take it a step further. I think Ronda and Shayna win. I think they come out on Raw and beat Becky and Lita for the titles on Monday night, and Lita goes away because she's not going to be hanging around much after WrestleMania.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I think that's the most likely scenario. They probably pinned Sonya, maybe Natalia. One of those.
Liv and Raquel could be like a fun babyface team for their first feud.
Actually, to be honest with you, I bet you it kind of ends with like a double submission where Ronda and Shayna tap out both members of a team or something like that.
Yep. I could absolutely see that happening. And then you can maybe pivot to Liv and Raquel, and they've been putting together a couple other women's tag teams too. Maybe you pull someone up from from NXT, but it feels like we should have a little time of Ronda and Shayna with these tag team titles as like a dominant female tag team for a little bit. That could be a lot of fun. And it could be fun, seeing pairings of like some of the really top tier babyface women to face them, like if they were to put together Becky and Charlotte at some point, or, Bianca and one of them at some point, that could also be a lot of fun. Whoever's sort of the odd one out of the title picture at that particular time. Andrew, what about the women's match here?
So just to recap, the fall that Ronda Rousey has taken. She came back for the Rumble last year, and the second you heard bad reputation by Joan Jett, you knew Ronda was winning. The match was over, done with. You knew Ronda was going to WrestleMania because that's just the kind of star power that Ronda Rousey had during her first run. She came back, and part of the problem with her was her, but the other part had to do with some really strange booking. They did the 50-50 stuff with Charlotte where they didn't put her over at Mania, but they put her over at a pay-per-view that by comparison nobody watched.
And we got to say the stuff with her and Charlotte leading into Mania was not a good build. You pointed out that she wasn't there even the week before, and the match at Mania wasn't good. The following match was much better.
Yes, but it was one of those situations where if you're gonna put her over, you don't do it at a B pay-per-view. You put her over when everybody's watching. And then a couple months down the line, and I give them a lot of credit for this because it's hard to make a new babyface star. And they did a lot right with Liv Morgan. But Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey were a horrible matchup for one another because there was no way, shape, or form Liv was ever going to be presented as Ronda's equal, let alone
like
her
a clean
better.
win over her. Yep.
And everything after that did not go well for either of them. Now,
and she's talked about it recently. Ronda has.
And while I don't necessarily agree with hanging everyone out to dry like that, and by the way, you can say the same thing for a couple of people on the other show who that I'm sure you guys have talked about at some point. Seriously, everybody, don't hit send. Just don't do it. It's not smart.
No.
But one thing I will say is teaming Ronda and Shayna up has always made a lot of sense. This still works, even if they waited a couple of years too long to do it. And if we're using horse racing parlance here, my best bet of the weekend is Ronda and Shayna winning this match. And you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to parlay that with Chelsea Green wanting to speak to the manager.
Okay. I like that. I think that's a good prop there.
Hey, let me ask you guys this. Do you think,
please,
because the women's tag team titles have just been, it hasn't been good. It hasn't. Does Becky and Lita, do those two ladies legitimize these tag team titles, or will it take Ronda and Shayna to finally legitimize this? Because I know it's not going to be a long run for either.
Yeah, I think Darin's right too. I think it's quick where you go to Ronda and Shayna quickly, even Monday night or in the next week or so, and you put it right on them, and then you let them be dominant in the ring for a while, and you just throw different combinations at them repeatedly. Like that's let them feel like a dominant tag team, but like put them on TV and stuff. They haven't done a great job booking this tag team division for the most part. So pay a little more attention to it. And maybe if they feel like Ronda is in there, they will do so. And maybe because Ronda and Shayna are friends and they're close, they'll enjoy this. They'll get into it. They'll have some fun with it. And maybe that chemistry will sort of show through in their matches and segments and stuff they do together. So I think it's them. And then you go with them and make the run. We have, I believe, 4 more matches to discuss for WrestleMania weekend coming up. First, let's hit on Edge versus the Demon Finn Balor. It's a Hell in a Cell match. We'll head over to you, Andrew, for this one. So it's fine for me. Like, I don't really have many knocks on it. It's not great. It's not maybe as great for a build as I would want for Edge and Finn Balor. But when I stop and think about what these two guys have done and are capable of doing in a Hell in a Cell match, I like it. I think the last few weeks of promos to build up to this has been good. The problem with this is it just has felt like it's been going on for a long time. I think this match was even rumored to happen at Royal Rumble a couple months ago. There have been maybe 2 different times where Edge has had small injuries. And so it's just felt like this has lingered for a while. I think that's sort of hurt it overall. But I don't really have negatives on segments that they've been involved in or parts of this feud. It's just, it needed to be tightened up a little bit. I'm sure the match will be excellent, and I'm looking forward to it. And then we got to move Edge in a different direction because he's pointed out he's not going to be around all too much longer, maybe a year more max. It didn't even sound like that much. So I could see Edge having one of those you know, career versus title sort of runs or something built into the storyline with the end of his career moving forward. But all that being said, how do you think this match plays out, Andrew? Who needs the win here? What's going to happen?
First of all, I would like to say that the biggest heel in the entire company is going to make an appearance in this match. It is the god-awful red cell nobody likes.
Oh, the red cell. The red cell.
Terrible. I don't
blood
know
red
whose
cell.
idea this was, but everything associated with the Seth Rollins Fiend Hell in a Cell match needed to be burned down and then burnt again, just to make the point that it was never going to be seen on WWE programming ever again. I hate that thing. I hate that thing. I hate that thing. Now, as far as this match goes, it's going to be fine. It's Edge who knows how to put a match together better than just about anybody. It's Finn Balor who is absolutely fantastic at everything he does. What do you do with either guy after this, though? And that's ultimately what I think is going to be tough, because we've established this. We don't think Judgment Day is lasting a whole heck of a lot longer. So then what do you do with Balor? What do you do with Edge? There have been rumors that the Toronto show they're doing this summer may well be his farewell tour from WWE. We don't know if it's his farewell tour from wrestling. We know AEW was interested in him a couple of years ago. He so much as said that on his WWE Network show. But what do you do here? Like, do you put Edge over and then give him one last main event run, maybe against Cody down the line?
That's what I'm thinking, maybe.
What do you do? And it's confounding to me. And the other thing that I wish wasn't a thing, because I was a huge NXT guy when Finn Balor was down there. And when the Demon showed up, you knew shit was about to get real. Why did they wait so long to bring it back? And is it still a thing, since it's basically been gathering mothballs for the last 5 or 6 years?
And you wonder, is this a Triple H thing, right?
Exactly.
Is this something where Vince didn't get it, didn't understand, and now Triple H will get a better presentation than we may have before?
See, what I would have done, and I wish they would have done this as a way to kiss the Fiend goodbye. When the Fiend came in, and when he returned as the Fiend, that squash match at SummerSlam was against Finn Balor. You do the Fiend against the Demon and come full circle. And I don't understand why they didn't do that, and why we instead got Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, 9,000 with Alexa Bliss and Black Blood and a whole bunch of other things, and a box-like structure, as it was called by the announcers. And
Box-like.
terrible.
It's just a box. It's a box.
They called it a
I know.
box-like structure.
I know, but you're like, we're sitting there like, it's a box-like structure, medical facility. It's a hospital. You know what I mean? Like, it's a hospital, Vince.
Yeah. So anyway, this is going to be fine. I have faith in Edge and Finn, but can we please get rid of the red cell? And can we please have a plan for both of these guys after Mania? That's all I'm asking.
Wait a minute. You hate the red cell worse than the blue, still old WWE?
Oh, I like the blue
What are you
cage.
kidding? The blue cage is the greatest of all time.
Give me the blue cage.
Yeah,
I love the
no.
big blue
Get
cage.
out. Get out of this show, Chad.
I love
Get
the
out.
big blue cage. So, Coop, you chimed in right now. Talk to us about this one: Edge versus the Demon, Finn Balor.
Look, I am super pumped that hopefully we get the Demon. I think he's teased it long enough, and I think this is an Edge win here. Don't see a lot of hope for Judgment Day going after this. Interesting that we get a Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania. I don't know if this has been done before. If it has, someone, one of you guys, let me know, because I don't recall it.
Wait, Boss Man versus The Undertaker, where he hung him, right?
That's right. This
is metaphor. Is this a symbolic hanging? No, he's actually hanging him. He's actually hanging him, Michael Cole. Is
I've
this
got a
symbolic?
question while we're on the topic.
Yeah,
How
Sure.
do we consider the Kennel from Hell match? Is that in
that's
consideration here?
true. That is
Hey,
true.
now wouldn't a good Brood reunion
That's
at this point be a
he's
good
teased
spot?
at least the Brood look, right? Like the
Yeah,
look,
yeah.
because
Gangrel, Gangrel's still around doing indie dates.
he
You know,
popped up. Didn't he pop up on AEW at one point? And he's, I
I
mean,
think he
Christian's over
did.
there,
Yeah.
but I could see the black blood like we had with Edge last year. What are the odds that you're looking at, Coop, for this one?
It's a pick 'em. Edge is a slim favorite, minus 130. So it's a pick 'em. But I would go with Edge here. Definitely, I would book him over Finn. I think Finn probably needs a good win, but if Edge loses, what do you do with him at this point in this stage? But if you lose this gimmick match, does it really hurt you that much?
Well,
DZ.
let me ask this question: has the Demon ever lost a match?
The one to Roman? Did he lose that one to Roman? Or was that was that Finn and not the
I
Demon?
think he might have lost one in NXT because I feel like he might have been the Demon once against Owens, but I'm not sure.
Okay, but not nothing recent or
No.
yeah.
Yeah. So here's my point. If you're gonna have Edge win this, why would you book it against the Demon? Why would you make Finn lose as the Demon?
That's strange. And do we get some sort of shenanigans here? Is there someone else that gets involved? Does something happen to where Finn can win? You can get Edge out of this without having him look bad and then separate them. But I don't know. Does that do anything for either one of them? Like Finn getting a clean win, I think would help. But I don't know if that's going to. I don't think he's going to get a clean win over Edge.
Maybe not. I don't know. By the way, I've looked it up. He's never lost as the Demon character.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, he hasn't. He hasn't.
So what I don't if Edge is coming to the end of his run.
Why are you having him beat this character that could be around and still do more?
Yeah. Why is like you said, Triple H with this character, what he did with it in NXT, he's really going to have the Demon character lose to Edge here?
And then maybe we get Finn winning this, and then Edge's character can have a turn and say, do I have it left anymore, right? Do one of those runs, do I really have it? And then he goes out there and he proves himself, and he has.
I thought as soon as it was apparent that you were getting the Demon Finn Balor. But let me ask this question: they're gonna boo the Demon character when he comes out?
I know. They maybe not, right? It may just be, especially.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so.
No,
I think I think
Edge isn't getting booed, but they're not going to boo the Demon character.
And the only reason that I can justify the Demon character is if we are getting full blown Brood Edge.
Yeah,
and then the match looks cool, but I really don't think Triple H is going to have the Demon character lose.
Lay down like that. No, it seems like a nice card that you have to go to, and I don't know if you'd want to necessarily ruin it like that.
Yep.
So Edge versus Finn. The next match, the IC title, Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre. When they brought him up from NXT, Andrew, we were really worried. They changed the name from Walter to Gunther. They made him change his look. I will say, all of the reasons why we were worried were very valid. How many people came up from NXT? They told him to change. They told him to do this. He wasn't someone that felt like Vince was going to just necessarily understand him and put this guy over right away. Man, I was really wrong, and I'm so pleased to be wrong in this case because they've done a fantastic job with Gunther. He has been treated and booked like an absolute star. He had a great run in the Royal Rumble, and I think it's not a coincidence that they have him in a triple threat here because he could lose this title without losing. I think Sheamus wins this title. I think Gunther doesn't get pinned, and I think Gunther is going to be the first challenger for Cody Rhodes as he wins the title from Roman Reigns. And I think Gunther is going to be like the first foil. I think they'll lean into the match, like the little pairing they had at the end of the Royal Rumble. I could absolutely see that being a thing. I think with some of the shows coming up out of the country, I think Gunther is going to be a big part of them. I can absolutely see him having a really big second half of this year. So, I think he's going to lose this match, though. And I think it'll be for Sheamus, so Sheamus can finally have that moment where he wins the IC title, and now he's won all the titles. They can even spin this off and have Sheamus and Drew have another match after it, which are always really good. Andrew, I'm saying Sheamus. Talk to us about this one and your thoughts on Gunther.
I love watching Gunther work. I loved Walter. I'm calling him Walter because that's the way Nigel McGuinness always used to call his matches in NXT. Walter, not Walter, but Walter in capital letters. The capital letters are key there.
Vault.
Yes. Now, when Gunther came up, that was around the time we started hearing things about why Adam Cole left WWE. And there were rumors about changing his look, cutting his hair, making him somebody's manager. And then you start hearing all this stuff about Walter and Gunther. And you're just going, please don't screw him up. Please don't screw him up. Please don't screw him up. He's easy. All you need to do is send him out there, have him do the pose with his hands behind his back in the long overcoat, then have him go to the ring and chop the hell out of everything that moves. Well, that's basically what they've been doing. And shocker, it's worked. Say it with me, everybody. Wrestling is at its best when it is simple. And there's nothing more simple than a big foreign guy beating the living daylights out of everybody else. So let's put him in with two other big guys who enjoy beating the crap out of everybody else and being quite stiff. And two guys that are also, by the way, outside the ring, very, very good friends who are probably enjoying every single bit of this. I'm going to love this match. This is going to be so much fun. I agree with you, Gino. I think this is Sheamus's title to win solely because McIntyre seems a little bit above an IC title. He doesn't need it. Sheamus, I think, gets a lot more out of it. And it makes a lot of sense to use this as, okay, Gunther never lost the IC title. Somebody else was pinned during the match. And then you move him up into a spot where maybe he's Cody's main challenger. Maybe you do something else with somebody else of a higher stature. But it would not surprise me at all if Gunther was in a main event of WrestleMania in 2024. That is how well he has been handled. And for as much as we criticize WWE for all the times they've gotten it wrong, we need to give them credit for getting this one right.
Koopaloop, Gunther, Sheamus, Drew. How do you see this one playing out?
Man, talk about physical appearances, people that are looking good. You know, he had some quote unquote baby fat, in NXT. This guy looks like $1 million now. He just does. You talk about a rocket. This is a guy that probably could handle a world title this year and be able to pull it off. I agree. I don't think Drew wins this at all. He's the third choice of the three. Gunther and Sheamus right there even. I could see Sheamus pinning Drew here. You talk about, matches of the weekend. This definitely has the potential here, but Gunther is, it is, and it keeps being brought up as WrestleMania gets closer. You go back to poor Keith Lee tweeting, when they made this big change from Walter, or as AC says, Walter, to Gunther, and he tweeted, man, this is not going to end well. Well, it's he's on a nice ride right now, and I'm glad that both guys in the Imperium's been with him because they've helped get him over. Not that he needed it, but it's a good look.
The presentation is good. Yeah. DZ, I mean, he has had incredible matches with everybody. I mean, everyone he has a match with is good, but just think about some of the matches he's had on SmackDown this year. I mentioned with Braun, he had a couple great ones with Ricochet, and then a legitimate match of the year candidate with Sheamus.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other, whether it be Gunther or Sheamus here. I'll just add this. In addition to all the things that have been said about Gunther, it has been so refreshing to see him give validation back to the Intercontinental Championship,
Absolutely.
because
It
this has
feels
been a
like a big
title.
deal.
Yeah, this has been a title that has at times disappeared.
Last year, Ricochet
Yeah.
and Finn Balor were the US and the IC champs, and neither one was defended
Yeah.
on a 2-night show.
Yep,
Good point.
disappeared.
Horrible.
Not even showing up on pay-per-views. We would go weeks on end without seeing them on TV. It made absolutely no sense. And Gunther has certainly brought the title back to where it should be. I still wish they never changed it because I hate the new design and I miss the old version. But that being said, it's great that this title has some, spark to it once again. And if Sheamus gets it, I think it sticks around at that level as well. So I'm good either way.
Yeah. That is the IC title match. So we're up to the 2 main event matches, the 2 matches that have had really the strongest builds along the way. So DZ, let's stick right here with you and let's talk Usos versus KO and Sami Zayn. This was a dance that they did really well. Sami Zayn was super over, and the bloodline story that they have been telling over the last couple years is one of the best stories they have ever told. When you think about Andre and Hogan, when you think about the mega powers collide, when you think about Austin and Mr. McMahon, and the best stories they've ever told, the bloodline one is honestly better when you think about the longevity and the moving pieces and how long it's been going on a weekly TV show compared to all the other ones. But it really is going to go down as a great one. And they've done a really good job of branching this off and getting Kevin Owens and Sammy back to being buddies and feeling like a tag team that is a main event tag team. And this is a tag team match that I've been seeing people on social media say they're more excited about than really any tag team matches in WWE that they could remember over the last few years. This is going to be a good one. The emotion is there. The build is there. And this has got to be the moment that they've come together for KO Mania and WrestleZania, right?
Yeah, the one thing that kind of sticks with me here is that, look, I fully expect Owens and Zayn to win like everybody else. Let me ask this question. Does it make the outcome of the main event far too predictable if the Usos lose?
And is it?
Is there any way? Is there any way, shape, or form that the Usos lose, and you could see that happen, and then actually believe that Roman can still win?
No,
and I'm not saying
I can.
You can.
Yes, because you wind up going from a storyline where everybody implodes to something where Roman slowly seethes and thinks he's the only one in the bloodline that's worth a damn. And that winds up leading to the prediction that I'll talk about when we talk about the main event.
Okay.
That's called
Fair
foreshadowing, kids.
Fair enough. Yeah, I it's been one of the best stories that they've told in a very long time. It's fantastic how many different characters that they've included in this story. It's been marvelously done that they've been able to encapsulate so many different WWE stars in this story for going for so long. If it does end on Saturday or Sunday, a part of me is going to be upset about it because
yeah, me too. Because I wanted to keep going. I do.
So damn good, and I'll talk about that when we get to the main event. But it is hard, and I get it. WWE can swerve the shit out of you at times. It is hard to picture a scenario where Owens and Zayn don't win this match.
Yeah, Andrew, I've announced these 2 guys in Monrovia in front of like 80 people, KO and Sammy. And then just to think about the trajectory that they've had from a year ago, where going into WrestleMania and the WrestleMania season, there were rumors about these 2 guys, like at the end of 2021, leaving WWE and possibly signing with AEW. And then last year at WrestleMania, Kevin Owens closes one of the shows with Stone Cold. And you've got Sammy, who does the job for Johnny Knoxville, and he's in the whole Jackass feud. Following that, he's doing the conspiracy gimmick. This was supposed to be like a one-off thing that they loved and they kept going with it. They were just supposed to pair Sammy with the bloodline like one night, and they kept running with it. And it's just a testament to everybody involved, from Sammy to KO to Heyman to the Usos to Solo to Roman. They've all done a fantastic job. All the producers, writers, everyone with this. It's been great for this tag match. What do you think is happening? I mean, are we just going to get the babyface win? And is this what closes night one?
It sure seems like a long time ago we saw Kevin Owens tweet out the latitude and longitude of Mount Rushmore
Right.
as
right.
an homage to his PW
His buddies.
days, where he ran with the Young Bucks and a couple of other guys. And also, by the way, seems like a long time ago where Sami Zayn gets called up from NXT to face John Cena in the open challenge. The crowd goes insane, and Sami Zayn's body just quits. That's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah.
If Sami Zayn stays healthy, how different are the following 5 or 6 years? It's amazing the way they have managed to build this storyline and remind us that when WWE throws its back into it, and when they say, gosh darn it, we're going to tell this story from start to finish.
We care, right? We're going to make sure that we keep an eye on all the little details, and we don't say, oh, they're not going to care about that. Or we're not, like, week to week. It's like a drama. It's a TV show that we would watch. It was told that well.
When they do that, they are among the best storytellers in the world at what they do. And that is why it has been so frustrating the couple of times where it seems like they've had nothing better to do other than to throw Roman Brock 9,000 at us. This time we have a bulldozer. You know, it's frustrating, and it's why we give them so much crap. But this is so good. It is so well done, and it makes you care about everyone in the storyline, even the auxiliary players. Solo Sikoa is going to be a major star at some point because of his involvement in this storyline. And he is, by this count, let's see, Sammy, Kevin, Roman, the Usos, Heyman, the 7th most important guy in this story.
Yeah.
It's insane what they've been able to do. And I am enthusiastic for this match. I don't think you can justify the Usos walking out with the belts, but sometimes the best stories are the ones you can see coming. And we've been able to see this coming for a little while now. And it's unfortunate that it's going to end at WrestleMania, but at the same time, if they put forth the kind of energy that they put into this storyline into whatever is next, man, that's going to be fun.
Like the false finishes at the end of this match, Coop, if Solo Sikoa is out there with the Usos helping them cheat, and just the last few minutes of this match back and forth, the crowd should be going nuts. Do we have KO and Sammy as the heavy favorites in this one? And how do you think this plays out?
It is the absolute biggest favorite by far of the weekend. They open it. I don't even know if this is even real
on the board.
Minus 4,000 KO and Sammy. You know, I was going to try to play devil's advocate with this match, doing some reading and some research today. And then I see that, and there's no way that KO and Sammy turn on each other. This probably needs to be the main event of night one. Look, I know we're about to get to the main event. I'm not bitter about it. I just think that, Sami Zayn was
Sammy
hotter.
more over as a babyface at that moment.
Yes.
Did the story make more sense for him?
It did, because I'm in the, and as long as we've been doing This Week in Wrestling, I'm hey, let's do who's hot now. But look, it's worked out, and I completely understand. But there's just no way possible I see the Usos winning. I don't. This has to be KO and Sammy. And you talk about a fun tag team, not only in ring, but doing promos backstage on Mondays and Fridays. It's going to be refreshing because it seems like as long as Roman's had the title, it seems like the Usos have had those tag team titles for a while too. Both of them. You know, do we think they're ever going to split?
And that's the thing with both, right? The tag team titles after this, maybe, and the main title after this. Are we going to get back to splitting them up at some point? Or, I think it was a little bit better having the multiple when you have, different guys that can go after them, but no idea if that's the plan moving forward. So, Coop, while we have you, while we're talking about this one, let's just transition right on over. We know what's closing night 2, Roman versus Cody. Last year, Brock Lesnar didn't feel like it was the time for him to dethrone Roman. Even a couple years ago, what was it, Edge and Daniel Bryan, right? Edge had made his return, but once they put Daniel Bryan in there, we sort of knew it was kind of funky. This year, it felt like there were 2 guys that legitimately could have beat Roman. I don't know, did they pick the right one? And do you think it's going to be him? Is it Cody right here? Do they do something where they have Roman win again, get to the 1,000 days, and they keep telling this story? Or is this Cody Rhodes?
Well, first and foremost, AC, I enjoyed the bulldozer moment last year. Okay,
I was there. I was there in person.
Just a little bit. That was fun, but still, you can only throw that match out there so many times, and
that's very true.
Amplified how for a long time, and I'm going to name names on this. Vince didn't build anybody. Okay. Triple H comes in, and in the span of 6-8 months, he booked 2 guys that you can easily see knocking off the guy. Credit to him for that.
I completely agree. I look, if Cody loses this match, man, that you talk about a
it's just
story
who is
derailed,
it? Right? Who is it? Where do you go? Who is the next person? If it wasn't Sammy, if it wasn't Cody, who is the next person out there?
Right. And I know they were hanging on for a glimmer of hope for The Rock, but that's in all likelihood never going to happen. Cody minus 550 is the opening offshore odds here. I don't like the neck tattoo, but the dude has, from what he went through, and look, this was on him going over, starting a new promotion, and then just early on in his AEW career, Gino, as you and I both know, loses a match where he can't challenge ever for the AEW world title, and to come back and do this and a pectoral tear. This is your guy that dethrones Roman Reigns.
DZ, your man, Roman Reigns. Is this the moment where he loses the title to Cody? And do we get, the Usos and Solo trying to come out there? And then do we get something like Sammy and KO and some shenanigans? Is there a whole bunch of stuff like that happening? Is it going to be cleaner than that? How do you see this playing out?
I think Cody is a mistake. I think it's a long-term mistake. It may get you a pop Sunday night. And I say may because WrestleMania crowds are weird. And even as Roman becomes a deeper and deeper heel, when you go to events in person, this Bloodline crew gets a lot of love. Despite whatever pop Cody may get, and they'll sing in the louder in the song and all that stuff. I think you fired him up too quick. He came in the Rumble at 30. He's wrestled like 2 matches in the last 3 months. I think this had to be something longer. I think you had to make him chase a little bit like you used to do in the old school days, maybe up to a SummerSlam event or something to that effect. And I'm not entirely sold that you don't get a major swerve here and Roman doesn't win this match. Because at the end of the day, if this Bloodline story goes away, it is a massive, massive pivot to something else that you need to come up with. And we've been down
such a big part of the TV for a couple of years now.
The thing on TV for a couple of years now. And I'm not saying that they don't have the confidence that they can come up with something else to do. But we've seen what's happened to Cody in the past with this whole babyface do it for daddy type nonsense. And you can only run that out there for so long before people start to shit all over you.
I totally agree. I totally agree with you, DZ.
And I mean, like I said, you get the pop, great. Okay, he wins, you get a pop. He comes out on Raw, gets a pop when he comes out. But the more that he talks about his dad and the title, and it's a dream come true, and he's this glorified baby face now, they're going to get sour on that kind of Hulk Hogan shit real fast.
I think so too.
Gino,
I think he wins. I think he wins, but I can see him winning and then not long after turning heel or having to turn heel because of that. And I think he would be fine in that role. But Andrew, take it away here, my friend. What's going to happen in the main event, night 2?
You know what we need to end this show with? Some wacky booking. Okay, here we go. Everyone get tied on for this one. Yes, we're going into the Andrew Champagne booking corner, so everybody get prepared for some really weird shit. So I think Cody's got to win. I think if you've built Cody up this much, if you're going to the extent that you're going to get Cody back last year, and I firmly believe this was the plan all along, even if the pectoral tear sidelined him for 6 to 8 months. I firmly believe the plan was you bring him back at one WrestleMania, and the next year he's in the main event and he's the guy that beats Roman. I think that was the recruiting pitch. So you got to put Cody over. I think the bloodline starts imploding. And I think we not only get the main event of next year's WrestleMania by the end of Raw on Monday night, but we get the appearance of another Samoan. I think you couldn't do The Rock versus Roman Reigns this year. 40 is a nice round number, and that's one of the few dream matches you've got left. If I'm Triple H, you hand Dwayne Johnson a check with as many zeros as he wants. You get that on his schedule now, and you spend the next year building Reigns back up, which isn't going to take a whole heck of a lot because this iteration of Roman Reigns is the one that got over the way Vince McMahon wanted him to get over as a babyface. And then that main event's either night 1 or night 2 of WrestleMania 40 next year.
But let me ask you this though, okay? Because now you got a year. What do you do with Roman for the next year?
It worked with Cena. It might be a little. You kind of put him in no man's land a little bit, though. Well, I mean, I like the idea of it, but yeah.
Jump in,
please.
The one thing that we haven't heard that much about that is a legitimate problem with Roman, he signed a deal a year or two ago that got him a vastly reduced number of dates. I think you put him away for a little while, not long. You bring him back for the build to SummerSlam in June or July, but there's only so much you can do based on how many dates he's going to work for you.
Looking forward to seeing what goes down on WrestleMania weekend. WrestleMania 39 coming up night 1 and night 2. Well, we did it, fellas. We got 2 minutes before the 2-hour mark comes up. So we'll be able to
everyone go home.
We'll be able to stream this to Twitter without it being cut off, which is nice and fun. And we'll be able to pick your brains on everything that happened in the following weeks coming up. Andrew and Darin join me on That's What G Said all the time for the old wrestling rewatch. We are coming up on 100, just a few away, which is nuts. Make sure to give Andrew a follow on Twitter at Andrew Champagne. Give Darin a follow at The Track on Twitter. Give Chad Cooper a follow at The Chad Cooper. He's here each and every week with me on That's What G Said for This Week in Wrestling, where we talk all about WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and AEW, part of our weekly recaps and reviews. So, fellas, you three have been such a big part of That's What G Said from the very beginning. Hours and hours and hours of fun and laughs and work. I mean, we're watching all these things, but I know that you have lives and you guys have other things going on, and you sit down and you put in the work and the time to watch this stuff and then come hang out with me. So I really thank you all every time. And DZ, love you, buddy. Andrew, love you, buddy. Chad Coop, love you, buddy. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Make sure to give all of them a follow, and we'll be back talking wrestling again very soon on That's What G Said.